Dear students, in this lecture, we are going to cover the history of the Peshwas. So, who are the Peshwas? So, Peshwas were basically Maratha warriors who came to rule almost all of North India from Deccan to Punjab. They started their career under the service of Maratha rulers, but slowly, gradually, they themselves captured the power. So now we are going to study who these Peshwas were, how did they capture power, what did they do after coming to power, what are their contributions to Indian history. So as you know that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj became Chhatrapati in the year 1774. So what did he do after becoming Chhatrapati? He started his own kingdom, or you can say Maratha kingdom, which was known as Hindvi Swaraj, self-rule. So Shivaji died in 1780. So after Shivaji's death, his son Sambhaji started to rule. So Sambhaji started to rule in 1780, but he was killed in 1789. So after Sambhaji's sons started to rule Rajaram. So you can see that initially, during the initial days of Maratha Empire, the family members of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj were ruling the Hindvi Swaraj. Hindvi Swaraj was the name given to the kingdom established by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So this was the political situation back then. So initially for a few years, the political control was with the family member of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So slowly and gradually, this political authority was shifted from the family members of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to another group, to another powerful position, which is known as Peshwas. So this is the story of Peshwas. So now let us see how did this happen. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's son Sambhaji was tortured and killed by Aurangzeb in 1889. So Sambhaji was killed. He was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's son. Sambhaji's 7-year-old son Sahu was taken into captivity by Aurangzeb. So because Aurangzeb had a long-standing rivalry with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, so Aurangzeb took revenge from Chhatrapati Shivaji's family. So he killed Sambhaji, who was son of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and he captured 7-year-old young boy named Sahu. Who is Sahu? Sahu is the grandson of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So Aurangzeb took Sahu into custody when he was 7 years of old, and Sahu was released after 18 years, immediately after Aurangzeb's death. So you understand? So this little boy, who is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's own grandson, he was taken into custody. Why was he taken into custody? Because if he was not in custody, he would have become Chhatrapati. So Aurangzeb wanted to put the system of Chhatrapati to an end. So he thought, the person who is about to become Chhatrapati, let me arrest him. So if he is arrested, nobody will become Chhatrapati, and that way Maratha Empire will vanish. So that was his plan. So for 18 years, Sahu stayed in Aurangzeb's custody. So when Sahu was in Aurangzeb's custody, the Maratha throne was taken by his stepmother Tarabai. So somebody will become Chhatrapati or not. So if he is into custody, somebody else will become. So who was that somebody else? Her name was Tarabai. Tarabai was wife of Sambhaji. Sambhaji had many wives. One of the wife was Sahu's mother. The other wife was Tarabai. So now Sahu and his mother are in Aurangzeb's custody. So another wife of Sambhaji named Tarabai, she took the throne. She became the master of the Maratha Empire for some time. So Minister Balaji Vishwanath was solely responsible for helping Sahu in defeating Tarabai. Now Sahu is released after 18 years, and after his release he had to get back his throne, because had he not been arrested he would have naturally become the Chhatrapati. So now he wants his throne back. So a minister, he was a minister in Tarabai's government. So Minister Balaji Vishwanath was solely responsible for helping Sahu in defeating Tarabai. So when Shahu became Chhatrapati, he transferred the real power and authority in the hands of Balaji and also made him the Peshwa. So Peshwa was the post of Prime Minister. So Peshwas existed during the time of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj also. But now something is about to happen. This post of Peshwa will become more powerful than the post of Chhatrapati. Why? Because it is this Peshwa who had helped Sahu to become the Chhatrapati. So Sahu is obliged, is under influence of Peshwa. So he transferred, so when Sahu became the Chhatrapati, he transferred the real power and authority in the hands of Balaji and made him the Peshwa. So from then on, Peshwa became the real decision maker. Sahu and his successor, Sahu who is Sahu? He is the new Chhatrapati. So Sahu and his successors were always dependent on their Peshwas, because Peshwa have become more powerful, because the real power and authority have been transferred to their domain. The seat of Peshwa became hereditary. Hereditary means if father will die, his son will become the next Peshwa. Sahu died in 1749 and his successors were rubber stamps under the Peshwa Raj. So that means from the time of Shahu, these Peshwas started controlling the Maratha Empire. They became the decision makers. So this is the story of Peshwas. So he is the first influential Peshwas. So in this lecture, we are going to cover the life history of first three Peshwas, because later on even the Peshwas lost their power. So it is meaningless to study that. So we will focus only on the first three Peshwas. The first one is Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath. Who is he? He is the person who helped Shahu to become Chhatrapati. So Chhatrapati Shahu conferred the title of Sena Karte. You have to remember this fact. Sena Karte means organizer of force. So you can say commander-in-chief on Balaji Vishwanath, because he was very much happy with his help, which made him the Chhatrapati. So he gave him the title of Sena Karte and elevated him to the post of Peshwa. Earlier he was simply a minister. He was just a minister, whereas Peshwa means the most important minister, prime minister. So now he is returning back his favor. He is not only making him the commander of forces, but also giving him the post of Peshwa in 1713. So from then onwards, the Chhatrapati became just a figurehead. Balaji Vishwanath, by his ability and statesmanship, made the Peshwaship hereditary in his family. So Balaji was such a great politician, he had such a great diplomatic acumen, that he ensured that after him his son will become Peshwa. That means he made the position of Peshwaship hereditary. Vishwanath, so Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath, so he is basically known by his name Balaji. So Balaji Vishwanath, by diplomacy and war, brought several other Maratha chiefs also in favor of Shahu, because Shahu was in custody for 18 years. So till then other people were ruling Maratha Empire. So now Sahu needs support. So that support is arranged by Balaji. Thus, Vishwanath succeeded in consolidating the position of Sahu in Maharashtra. So you can see the first Peshwa, he helped Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj to consolidate, to rule peacefully. Mughals signed peace treaty with Marathas. So a major achievement of Vishwanath Baji, so actually is known by his name Balaji. So most of the time you will get the name Balaji. So you have to remember his full name was Balaji Vishwanath. So a major achievement of Vishwanath was signing of treaty with Sayyid brothers. Who were these Sayyid brothers? So Sayyid brothers were the controlling, deciding factors of Mughal court. At that time, the Mughal emperor was Farrukh. So these Sayyid brothers were controlling the Mughal emperor. So now Mughals are signing a peace treaty with Chhatrapati, and this was possible because of politics of Vishwanath Balaji. So Sayyid brothers who were controlling the emperor Farrukh were afraid that the emperor was plotting to kill them. So these two brothers, they were controlling the emperor, and they were also afraid that Farrukh might kill them. So Sayyid brothers wanted to maintain cordial relationship with the Marathas. That's why these people, they wanted that let's make friendship with Maratha. So if we become friends with Maratha, this Farrukh can do no harm to us. Chhatrapati Sahu. So this Sayyid brothers are signing peace treaty with Maratha, but it will be called that Farrukh is signing peace treaty with Maratha because Sayyid brothers are not Mughal emperors. Farrukh is Mughal emperor, but he is controlled by Sayyid brothers. So Chhatrapati was accepted by Mughal emperor. So whatever Sayyid brother is saying or doing, he is doing it on behalf of Farrukh. So Chhatrapati Sahu was accepted by the Mughal emperor as the master of Maharashtra and the territories conquered by him till then. So till then, whatever territories were under control of Marathas, so Chhatrapati Sahuji Maharaj was given the authority of those territories. That means he was recognized as Chhatrapati. Who recognized him? Farrukh. Why? Because of diplomacy done between Vishwanath Balaji and Sayyid brothers. Shahu was also given the right of collecting chauth. Chauth means 1/4 tax. And Sardesh Mukhi means 10% additional tax from the 6 provinces of Deccan. So 5 sultanates and 1 Maratha empire. So 6 provinces were operating from Deccan. So now Marathas can collect tax from entire Deccan. So it did not mean that you have to keep tax with yourself. You have to give part of this tax to Mughals as well. So this is good offer, beneficial offer for Chhatrapati Sahu. So in return, Shahu agreed to serve the Mughal emperor and pay him rupees 10 lakhs annually. So that way Mughals and Marathas, they become friends for some time. So achievements of Balaji Rao. So all this was happening not because of Sahu, but because of Balaji Rao. He was a diplomatic politician. So this treaty was a grand success of Vishwanath. By it, the Marathas became the sovereign power in the Deccan, though indirectly. So now Mughal emperor have accepted you as the Chhatrapati. So now, is this a big success or not? Earlier, Aurangzeb used to fight with you. Aurangzeb did not recognize you, but now Mughals are recognizing you. So this was a grand success. By getting the right of collecting chauth, So by getting the right of collecting Chauth and Sardeshmukhi, they got chances of extending their empire as well, because now they have money. Marathas are getting money because they have been allowed to collect tax. So if you have money, you can use that money to expand your empire. Maratha soldiers under the command of Vishwanath went to Delhi with Sayyid Hussain Ali. Who was Sayyid Hussain Ali? One of the Sayyid brothers. So what was the problem of Sayyid brothers? They were afraid that Farrukh is going to kill them. That's why they have done friendship with Marathas. So Marathas have to keep their promise or not? So yes, Vishwanath Balaji went to Delhi with one of the Sayyid brothers, participated in dethroning Emperor Farrukh. Actually, he was killed. So these Marathas helped Sayyid brother in killing the Mughal emperor, and that way they understood that the Mughal emperors are not as strong as they appear. Even we can dethrone these Mughal emperors. We, the Marathas, are now controlling the fate, the future of Mughal empire. So that was a big achievement. So when this happened, Marathas start thinking that why not destroy Mughals completely? They are so weak. So this gave them a hope that they can take the political authority of India in their own hands. So that inspired their ambition, and afterwards encouraged them to move towards north. Vishwanath died in 1720 AD. So he was appointed Peshwa in 1713. He died in 1720. So just in a time span of 7 years, he achieved all this. So he died in 1720. By that time, the power of Shahu had consolidated in Maharashtra. How was the power consolidated in Maharashtra? Because all the Maratha warriors had come under his control, because Balaji had already ensured that. Also, he was collecting Chauth, he was collecting Sardeshmukhi. Also, all the 6 provinces of Deccan were under his control. Also, the Mughals were under his control. So that's why it can be said that position of Sahuji Maharaj was consolidated in Maharashtra completely. Also, the Marathas had directly participated in the politics of Mughal court at Delhi, because you saw that they went to Delhi, Balaji Vishwanath went to Delhi and dethroned and killed the emperor. So now they have started interfering in the politics of Mughal court. So all these laid down the foundation of the greatness of Marathas. So after the death of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the Marathas have begun to decline. But all of a sudden, because of making these Peshwas more powerful, you can see again the Marathas are gaining power. So it is said that Vishwanath Balaji Rao is the second founder of Maratha Empire. Very important. Why? Because the empire was on decline. Now this person, just within 7 years, have revived the empire. So now he is dead. So what happened after the death of first Peshwa? So after the death of Vishwanath, Shahu, who is Shahu? Shahu is the king. He is Chhatrapati. So he appointed his 28-year-old son Baji Rao. Father's name was Balaji. Son's name is Baji. So don't get confused. Balaji is father, who is dead now. Son is Baji Rao. So since the position of Peshwa had become hereditary, so that's why his son became the next Peshwa. Many of the ministers of Chhatrapati Shahu disliked Baji Rao, but he managed to either defeat them or win them over. His father was acceptable to everybody, but the new Peshwa, Baji Rao, he is not liked by everyone, but no problem, he managed to defeat them or make them their friends. Baji Rao proved himself a capable commander and an ambitious person. He made the Marathas the foremost power in India. So please remember his father Balaji Rao, he has just consolidated the power. That means Marathas have become powerful, but they are not capturing territories. They are ruling from their original kingdom. But this new Peshwa, he made the Marathas the foremost power in India. That means he started the real expansion. So how did he do that? So Baji Rao versus Nizamul Mulk. Nizamul Mulk was the Nizam of Hyderabad. In 1724, Nizamul Mulk left the service of Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah. So Muhammad Shah is also known as Muhammad Shah Rangila. So when he was the Mughal Emperor, many of his ministers left him, and these ministers founded their own independent kingdoms. So one such kingdom was Hyderabad. The other such kingdoms were Awadh and Bengal. So Nizamul Mulk left the company of Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah and established the independent kingdom of Hyderabad. So this Nizamul Mulk, this Nizam of Hyderabad proved to be the worst enemy of Marathas, particularly that of Peshwas, because now Chhatrapati is not important, Peshwa is important. So the rivalry is between the Nizam and the Peshwa. Both are masters of their own kingdom. Peshwa is heading the Marathas, Nizam is heading the kingdom of Hyderabad. So Nizamul Mulk started instigating the step-brother and ministers of Chhatrapati Shahu to revolt against him. So Hyderabad is started to create troubles for the Marathas. How? They started giving support and influencing step-brothers of Chhatrapati that why don't you revolt? You remember that Chhatrapati Shahu was in jail for so many years, for 18 years. So during those 18 years, his aunt Tarabai was ruling. So now Nizamul Mulk is influencing Tarabai to revolt again. Peshwa succeeded in foiling all his designs, but the Peshwa always came to the rescue of Shahu. Shahu is the Chhatrapati. He is the real king, but the real authority or power is with Peshwas. So Peshwa succeeded in foiling all his designs. Baji Rao engaged the Nizam in several minor skirmishes, and finally in 1728 AD besieged him at Palkhed. So Baji Rao, who is the Peshwa, he have to fight Nizamul Mulk. Shahu will not fight. He is the real leader. So Baji Rao starts fighting with the Nizam, and after defeating him at many small scale battles, finally the Nizam is surrounded by the forces of Maratha, or you can say forces of Peshwa Baji Rao. So you understand who is more powerful. Baji Rao is more powerful. He is surrounding the Nizam of Hyderabad. So what will Nizam of Hyderabad do? His life is in danger. So the Nizam became so desperate that he agreed for peace. Earlier he was looking for enmity. Now he is begging for peace. Why? Because his life is in danger. He is surrounded by the forces of Baji Rao. Nizam accepted Shahu as the sole ruler of the Marathas and also agreed to pay Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi to him. So he agreed that you are the only ruler of Maratha. I will not instigate Tarabai. I will not instigate your step brothers and ministers to become Chhatrapati. You are the only Chhatrapati. And I will also pay Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi to them. So that way Nizamul Mulk is completely defeated by Baji Rao. But again this Nizamul Mulk starts his bad activities. In 1737 AD, the Nizam was deputed by the Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah Rangila. So Muhammad Shah Rangila became worried by the growing power of Marathas. So he asked Nizam, because Nizam was he knew Nizam very well personally, because Nizam had left Muhammad Shah Rangila in 1724, so they both knew each other very well. So Mughal Emperor ordered Nizam that go and crush the Marathas, destroy them completely. So once Nizam has already been defeated in 1728, so 9 years later he is again coming to fight with Baji Rao. So what happens? This time again Baji Rao besieged, again he was surrounded. Who was surrounded? Nizam was surrounded. So Baji Rao besieged Nizam near Bhopal and forced him to sign the Treaty of Durai Sarai without fighting. So Durai Sarai Treaty was signed between Baji Rao and Nizam of Hyderabad. Many times this question has been asked because of the name this has become very popular. Durai Sarai, Treaty of Durai Sarai. By it, I mean the terms of the treaty. So what did the treaty say? By it, the Mughal emperor handed over Malwa means Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and the territory between the rivers Chambal and Narmada to the Marathas. So now Mughal emperor, it is not about Nizam, it is about Mughal, because Mughal ruler have sent the force. So Mughals got defeated. We can't say that Nizam is defeated. We will say that Mughals are defeated. So this treaty is being signed between Mughals and Marathas. So now Mughals are giving their land to buy peace. So now Marathas have become so powerful. Just imagine. So you can see that Baji Rao has defeated the Nizam of Hyderabad not once but twice. So now Baji Rao have understood that it is not difficult to defeat the Mughals or the Nizams. So now he decides to expand the Maratha Empire. So this success of Baji Rao made him known all over India. What success? Defeating the Nizam twice. And defeating Nizam also meant that you have defeated the Mughals. So thus, Baji Rao succeeded against all his enemies. So Baji Rao's primary aim was to extend the Maratha power towards the north. Because he have understood that Mughals have grown very weak, Nizams are also weak. We are the most powerful political force in the country. So why not move towards north and try to establish a bigger empire? So he believed that the Mughal empire had become too weak and the Marathas should try to extend their empire towards the north. In 1729, Baji Rao went to help Chhatrsal. So Chhatrsal was the ruler of Bundelkhand and Mughals were constantly attacking Bundelkhand. So these people of Bundelkhand, this Hindu ruler of Bundelkhand, he asked the Marathas for help and Marathas went to Bundelkhand. Now Bundelkhand means what? Area of Jhansi, Gwalior. So this area is very near to Agra. So Marathas got a part of the territory of Bundelkhand, including the cities of Kalpi, Jhansi, etc., which were very close to Agra. What is the significance of Agra? Agra was the political center of the Mughal dynasty. So Marathas have now come into close quarters of the, now Marathas have entered, you can say that Marathas have entered the heart of Mughal empire. They have got territories there. So next, Baji Rao asked the Mughal emperor to surrender the provinces of Awadh and Bengal and the holy cities of Hindus like Gaya, Banaras and Allahabad to Marathas. So now they have understood that Mughals are very weak. So they start making demands from Mughals. They asked Mughal that you should give us territories, otherwise we will fight with you. So they asked Awadh, Bengal and holy cities of Gaya, Banaras, Allahabad, but the Mughals declined. Mughals did not agree to this. In 1740 AD, Baji Rao died. So you can see that Baji Rao successfully took the Marathas to North India. They got territories in Bundelkhand, which was very near to the Mughal kingdom. So Marathas have already started settling. Maratha rulers have started making palaces and courts in North India. In 1740 AD, Baji Rao died, but before his death, he had made the Marathas the foremost power in India. How? Defeating Nizam twice is not a small task. Defeating Nizam means defeating Mughal. So if you defeat Mughal, that means you are the most powerful force. And added extensive territory of north to their empire. So he first Peshwa was Vishwanath Balaji. Vishwanath Balaji. His son was Baji Rao. Baji Rao. His name was Vishwanath Balaji. So Balaji, then came Baji, and then will come Balaji Baji. Because in Marathas there is a tradition that you add the name of your father and forefathers to get your full name. Suppose somebody's name is Ankit and his father's name is Ganesh. So he will call himself Ankit Ganesh Gaitonde or something like that. So Balaji Baji Rao, it will be easy for you to remember. The third Peshwa is Balaji Baji Rao. So after the death of Baji Rao, Shahu, now Shahu is still the Chhatrapati. Shahu is still the Chhatrapati. Already two Peshwas have worked under him. So the third Peshwa, Baji Rao, is also appointed by Shahu only. So after the death of Baji Rao, Shahu appointed his son Balaji as the Peshwa. Balaji Baji Rao was only 18 years of age at that time. So all these were young people when they were made Peshwa. So Balaji Baji Rao followed into the footsteps of his father. Who was his father? The great Baji Rao. So he followed into the footsteps of his father and further extended the empire in different directions. Because his father had already made the policy that Marathas should move towards north and try to capture the Mughal territories. So now his son Balaji Baji Rao wants to take this further. He wants to follow this policy. So he followed in the footsteps of his father and further extended the empire in different directions, taking Maratha power to its height. So let's see what he did. Maratha armies now overran the whole of India. So now Marathas have started capturing north of India. Marathas took control over Malwa. Malwa means Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat. Bundelkhand was consolidated. Maratha control over Malwa, Gujarat and Bundelkhand was consolidated. Actually, Malwa and Gujarat was given to the Marathas as peace treaty. So who had signed this peace treaty? Nizam had signed, Nizamul Mulk. So all these were already with Marathas. So now they have made their presence strong in these areas. That means you can see they are moving towards north. Maharashtra is here, Gujarat is here, Madhya Pradesh is here. So they are moving towards North India now. Bengal was repeatedly invaded, and in 1751, the Nawab of Bengal had to cede Odisha. So if you can defeat Mughals, you can easily defeat Nawabs. So these Maratha forces, they continuously started to attack the Nawab of Bengal to sign a peace treaty. The Nawab of Bengal said that okay, don't attack me, take Odisha from me. Odisha was also part of Bengal only. So he gave Odisha to the Marathas, Who was responsible for doing all this? Balaji Bajirao was responsible. Mysore and Hyderabad were compelled to pay tributes. So you can see everybody is surrendering before Marathas. So you can say very confidently that Mughals lost their power during this time and Marathas were gaining power. So Marathas were becoming the new masters of India. So in the north, the Marathas soon became the power behind the Mughal throne. So Mughal dynasty was still existing. So what these Marathas did, they started controlling the Mughal empire. That's why it is said that they became the power behind the Mughal throne. They would decide who will become the next emperor, and if they did not like a Mughal emperor, they also did not hesitate in getting him removed. So they were controlling Mughal thrones as well. So everything was going fine for the Marathas, but now Marathas made a few enemies. It was their mistake on their part. The Maratha cavalry ravaged all India. The Mughal emperor became a puppet. They spoiled their relations with the other Hindu kingdoms of the north, like Rajputs and Jats. Why? Because they were demanding Chaut and Sardeshmukhi, whereas the Rajputs and Jats were not in a mood to pay this to the Marathas. So that's why their relation with these two political powers was not good. Also, Marathas were interfering in the politics of Mughal courts, and Rajputs were close friends of Marathas. So that's why also Rajputs and Marathas were not at good terms with each other. The other problem was that the Marathas started sidelining the foreign novels of the Mughal court. See, the Mughal court was not entirely made from, Mughal dynasty only. People from Iran, which was known as Persia back then, people from Persia, from Afghanistan, they used to apply, and when selected, they used to become ministers. So the Mughal court had some foreigners as well. So Marathas sidelined them because Marathas were controlling the Mughal court. So these foreign ministers, they were sidelined, they were thrown out. So if you throw out foreigners from Afghanistan, they will go back to Afghanistan and they will start thinking of attacking you. So this is what happened. So these foreign nobles who were removed from the court, they sought help from Ahmad Shah Abdali. So Ahmad Shah Abdali was the ruler of Afghanistan. So these foreigners were basically from Persia and Afghanistan. Now they have been removed from Mughal court. So they asked Ahmad Shah Abdali that why don't you attack India? So this resulted in the third battle of Panipat with a disastrous result for the Marathas. So after the third battle of Panipat, the power of the Peshwas started to decline, and in general, power of Marathas virtually came to an end. So now Abdali has come into picture. Let's see. The Maratha power was on the rise in the subcontinent. During this time, the Maratha Empire stretched from Indus in the north to southern regions of India. Indus in the north, please mind. So if this is India, this is Afghanistan, this is Indus River. So from here till South India, everything was controlled by Marathas. That means Marathas have become neighbors of Abdali because Abdali was the ruler of Afghanistan. Ahmad Shah Abdali had established the Durrani Empire in Afghanistan. So if Marathas were ruling in Punjab, in Himachal Pradesh, in Rajasthan, so they will come into conflict with their neighbors. Who is their neighbor? Their neighbor is the ruler of Afghanistan, who is Ahmad Shah Abdali. So what happened? Abdali annexed Lahore. That means Abdali attacked and captured Lahore. Lahore was in Punjab. So Lahore was part of Maratha kingdom because Marathas were ruling from Punjab. So you can say that Abdali started to attack the Marathas and he captured Lahore. So what did the Marathas do? We will see. In subsequent years, Abdali also took control of Punjab and Sindh. All this were under control of Marathas, but now Abdali was snatching it from their hands. Abdali's son Timur Shah was the governor of Lahore. Maratha Peshwa Baji Rao. So he is basically Balaji Baji Rao. We are talking about the third Peshwa. The reign of third Peshwa is going on. So Maratha Peshwa Baji Rao was able to capture Lahore and drive out Timur Shah. Who is Timur Shah? He is Abdali's son. So why? Because Lahore belonged to Marathas. So now Marathas are taking back their territory. They have driven out Abdali's son from Lahore. So Abdali felt insulted. Abdali was insulted. A humiliated Abdali started looking for an opportunity to strike back. So it became very clear that Abdali will be fighting a big, large-scale battle with the Marathas because Marathas have thrown his son out of Lahore. It was a big humiliation for him. So Abdali have already decided that he is going to take revenge from the Marathas. So he makes preparations. In 1752, they helped Imadul Mulk to become the Wazir. They means Marathas. Maratha helped Imadul Mulk. Who is Imadul Mulk? He was the grandson of Nizam ul Mulk to become the Wazir. Wazir of whom? Of Mughal Empire. Of Mughal Empire. So he is now the Prime Minister of Mughal Empire, and this Prime Minister was chosen by the Marathas, not by Mughals. So this new Wazir, Imadul Mulk, became puppet in their hands. That means Marathas are totally controlling the politics of Mughals. And under these circumstances, Ahmad Shah Abdali once again marched into India to settle accounts with the Maratha power. He had already declared that he is going to take revenge. Ahmad Shah Abdali soon formed an alliance with Najib-ud-Dawla of Rohilkhand, because in Rohilkhand the Marathas had already acquired territories. So these territories belonged actually to Najib-ud-Dawla. So he was already looking for revenge. Also, Shuja'ud-Dawla of Awadh was also looking for revenge. Why? Because the Marathas have demanded that you surrender Awadh. You remember, Marathas have demanded Bengal and Awadh to be given to them. So he was scared of Marathas. So he also started supporting Abdali. So both these people, Najib-ud-Dawla and Shuja'ud-Dawla, had earlier been defeated by the Marathas. That's why they are also looking for revenge. Peshwa dispatched a powerful army to the north under the command of his minor son. Who is the Peshwa? Peshwa is Balaji Baji Rao. So he himself cannot go in the battlefield because he is Peshwa. He have to keep the dignity of that post. So he cannot participate. He is the Prime Minister. He is not the he is not the Commander-in-Chief. Neither is he Chhatrapati. So he sends his minor son, and the real command of the army was in the hand of his cousin brother. That means Peshwa's cousin brother, Sadasiv Rao Bhau, was leading the Maratha force, and these Maratha force came to Panipat to fight Abdali. So it is said that during that time, every Maratha house have donated at least one son, have sent one son to join the Maratha army. So when Marathas were defeated, the entire Maharashtra, there was no Maharashtra back then, but entire Marathwada no food was cooked in their houses for months, because every house has lost a son. So anyways, Maratha army is going to fight Abdali. So who is the leader of this Maratha force? Actually, the leader is Sadasiv Rao Bhau. But whose forces are this? These are the forces sent by Peshwa. So now the battle begins. Battle between Ahmad Shah Abdali and the forces of Peshwa. The two forces met at Panipat on 14th of January 1761. So remember, earlier two battles have already taken place at Panipat. The first one was at 1526, the other was in 1556, and now this is the third one. So two forces met at Panipat. The Maratha army was completely destroyed. Peshwa's son, whose name was Viswas Rao, and Peshwa's cousin Sadasiv Rao Bhau, who was leading the army, they fought bravely and laid down their lives in the battlefield. That means they were killed in the battlefield itself. 28,000 Maratha soldiers perished. So that's why I said that every house of that time had kept mourning for months. They were not even cooking food. The Peshwa was stunned by the tragic news, because the Peshwa had not participated in the battle. He was in Nagpur. So he got to hear this news that 28,000 Maratha soldiers are killed. We have been defeated. His own son and his cousin brother, everybody, all the top commanders are killed. So he was already ill, and after hearing this news, his condition deteriorated. So, and that because of this news, he got more ill, and finally he died in June of 1764, just 4 months after the defeat at Panipat. The Maratha defeat at Panipat was, of course, a disaster for them. They lost the cream of their army. So now this is not a simple defeat, Panipat. This is not a simple defeat. 28,000 soldiers are gone in a single day. So now Marathas, they were powerful till then, but from that day onwards, their power vanished all of a sudden. All the top commanders, all the brave soldiers, they are killed. So they lost the cream of their army, and their political prestige suffered a big blow. Most of all, their defeat gave an opportunity to the East India Company to consolidate its power in Bengal and South India. Because the British were already present in India, so till then they were not engaged in large scale battle. But once they realized that the Marathas have lost their power, so they understood that now nobody will be able to stop us. So from then on, they made up their mind to capture entire India. Even the Afghans did not benefit from their victory. Afghans means Ahmad Shah Abdali. Why? Because after winning this battle, he went back to Afghanistan. He placed some commanders to look after the territory of Punjab. But these commanders were soon defeated by the Sikh people of Punjab, and these Sikh people, they fought back Punjab from the clutches of Abdali. So in Battle of Panipat, even Abdali did not gain much, because the territory that he had won was immediately lost. But Marathas were completely destroyed. The Maratha power became diminished. So now you have already understood that Marathas are about to set on a path of decline. So the Peshwa, the head of the Maratha, used to live in Pune. So now the entire Maratha power, after the defeat of Panipat, Maratha power was split into 5 different centers of power. That means 5 powerful families, they distributed power amongst themselves, because Peshwa have already lost his power. So they are also Marathas. Now they want to establish their own independent kingdom. So 5 such families came forward and established their own kingdom. You have to remember them, very important, because this has been asked many times. Gaikwad family, capital was Baroda. Bhosle family, capital was Nagpur. Holkar family, capital was Indore. Sindhia family, capital was Gwalior. And one family was the family of Peshwas. So 4 Maratha families and 1 Peshwa. They were still there, but their power was deeply reduced. The Marathas had made a remarkable recovery after the Battle of Panipat. Hence, it became imperative for them to confront the growing power of English, who aspired to take over the whole of India. So now, since Marathas were the most powerful group, so it was natural that after the Battle of Panipat, their next enemy, their biggest enemy, was the English East India Company. So now they start fighting East India Company. So 3 Anglo-Maratha wars were fought between the Marathas and East India Company. So all these 3 wars, the English succeeded. Finally, the 3rd Anglo-Maratha war came to an end with a decisive British victory over the various Maratha powers. Various Maratha powers means these families. So finally, in 1888, by the end of 3rd Anglo-Maratha, Anglo means English, Anglo-Maratha war, the English people completely defeated whatever Maratha power was remaining. So thus, Maratha Empire, established by the great Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in 1774, sorry, this will be 1674, finally came to an end in 1818. So get the point. How did the Marathas' power came to an end? Finally, their power was taken, snatched by the English people. Their power did not come to an end because of Abdali. It came to an end because of Anglo-Maratha war. And obviously, the British people were the new masters.